So we're ready now. First of all, I would like to say hi to everyone watching there. It's great to have you here. I'm really excited to start a new episode of this series, Portugal Meets the World. This time we are meeting India with my friend Nihar, which I've met at the Netherlands during my academic exchange program there. Nihar, would you like to present yourself to the world?
Hello, hi, namaste. I'm Nihar. I'm from India. Currently, I am in the Netherlands and I'm doing my master's in haptic interfaces, which is basically to engineer the sense of touch. Uh, and I'm interested in contributing with technology in the fields of sports, education, and I don't know how to connect it yet, but down the line to philosophy as well. Other than that, I like traveling a lot. I have done multiple trips. One of them was solo. I love playing badminton. I used to play professionally before coming here. Yeah, I think, and yes, so I love um, exploring, adventuring, hiking.
Did you used to do that a lot in India when you were back then?
Oh, yes. So it was like these months. So the month of May, June, I used to go hiking in the Himalayas.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like one big trek of 10 to 12 days. But then we used to do local hikes near my city. Uh, I think it would be like twice a month or twice in 2 months. So,
Is your city too far from the Himalayas?
oh yeah, it is very far. It's like 1 hour by flight, 1.5 hour by flight.
You would catch the plane to go to the Himalayas, huh?
Oh, yeah, so there isn't a direct flight to Himalayas, but we generally used to go via train. So the train journey took around 18 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an overnight plus some time journey. Then from there we needed to change the train. So from I live in Pune in India. So from Pune we used to go to New Delhi, which is the capital, and from New Delhi we used to go to Dehradun. Dehradun is located to the east of India, and from there, like Himalaya is a whole patch towards the northeast of India. I would say to the north as well, but most of the treks I have done are in the Garhwal region, and it is in the northeast. So we used to go to Dehradun, and from Dehradun, uh, the starting point of the trek used to be like 6, 7, 8 hours by car
Mm-hmm.
or a bus if there are many people.
Yeah. Uh, and geographically, where is the town you grew up in India? Because it's a really big country. It's almost like
Oh yeah,
like it's the size. It's enormous compared to European countries.
yeah.
So where geographically did you grew up in India, more or less?
Okay, so I grew up in the west of India, so in the state of Maharashtra, and Mumbai. I think most many people must know Mumbai.
Yeah.
So from Mumbai, it is like 2.5 hours by bus or by road.
Okay. Okay. And how was it like to grow up there? How is it like to grow up in India?
Well, like you said, I cannot generalize for the whole
Of
country,
course.
but
Yeah.
I tell about myself. So it was lovely. The short answer, it was lovely, but the long answer is that, yeah, it had its own surprises, own challenges.
What kind
Um,
of episodes would you like to tell us about?
so it was different. For example, if you look at the education system, the difference in the graduate and my undergraduate. So it was different. We weren't that hands on. It was more related to theory, and here it is. There are labs are available,
Mm-hmm.
but this is the educational part. Overall living, I would say that it is more of uh, uh, the social construct is really strong. So to emphasize more. So it is like you have people visiting, or there are like occasions and multiple festivals and uh, multiple reasons you can get together in the society itself, rather than actually, like, by default, rather than actually planning something.
Hmm.
And that the planning thing is also new, like it was initially. So like we used to pop up at a friend's place whenever we want. We showed up, we had fun, that kind of stuff. But here I find it is more of a scheduled thing.
Yeah.
So there is more of I won't say appointment, that is way too formal, but it is a plan that you need to make.
Even with uh, even
For
with
instance,
even with adults, it's like a meet in the street thing, or adults do schedule as well in India things.
so I would say that it isn't a specific time. So if I like, what I would do here is, hey man, let's catch up at 6 in the evening on next Friday, for example.
Hmm.
But it would be like, yeah, let's catch up in the today evening.
Okay.
So multiple reasons. So it is like, I won't say reasons, but multiple points, which is that the first is that the next appointment you get is in 1 or 2 days.
Okay.
And the schedule isn't that strict. It isn't hourly, but it is zone. So evening, afternoon. So
But
yeah, that.
I suppose then that you arrive many times first or later than the other person, so you have to
Oh
wait a lot,
yes.
right?
Oh no, like I would say that it's not like when the actual time converges. So for example, we decide we are going to meet tomorrow evening. Right now we don't fix the time, but say tomorrow at around 1 hour before evening, so around 4 o'clock, we will decide the location.
Okay,
And
makes sense then. Okay.
so it doesn't actually like luck by chance you actually go there and oh, you're also here. No, not that.
Yeah, and what are I don't know. I can imagine it might the perspective I have from here is that India it's a really different country from the one I grew up in Portugal. One thing I'm curious about is that if your city was a really largely populated city or not, because I suppose that makes a huge difference to live in a more rural area or to live in a city with a dense population. I don't know what was it like in your city.
Uh, Okay, so I would say the city is huge. I think it would be the size of Amsterdam,
Okay.
just to put in terms. I'm not particularly sure, but it is huge. So it is like 40 kilometers one way, like the farthest
Hmm.
distance, I would. And yeah, some areas are densely populated, some areas are not densely populated.
In the
Uh,
city itself.
yeah, in the city
Okay.
itself.
Okay.
And like there are some industrial hubs where you can see a specific population, class of population, like age group of population. There are some regions where there are schools, or maybe a more family friendly, I would say, family friendly zones, so like park and other entertainment centers, like those kind of regions are there. Those aren't definitive as such, but overall uh, it is moderately populated, if you look at India in general.
Okay. And how are the works in there, like the jobs people have? Is it developed and similar? In a way, it is similar to what we have here in Europe, or it's still more. I imagine in cities it isn't like a more agricultural like or kind
Yeah.
of jobs. I suppose in cities you already have like jobs similar to what people have in European cities. I can imagine, no? How are
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, there are some jobs that I don't see here which are quite visible in India. So, for example, like automation hasn't taken its effect that much in India. So, for
Mhm.
example, there are cycle repair shops. A lot of them where actually people do the repairing. If I don't know about Portugal, but in Netherlands it is like there are kits or stands where you can go and you need to repair it by yourself.
Uh,
Or
yeah, in Portugal it is common to have like bike repair shops, and
okay,
if you are curious about bikes, you normally can have your own kit of tools to repair your bike. But I would say the average person goes to a bike repair shop to do the job. So
okay.
yeah, at least that's what I
Another
do.
like like tailor is another shop which we have a lot. So you can give them the cloth and they can stitch whatever you need.
Hmm.
That is something I haven't seen here. And people tend to do like it is either ready made or people tend to do it themselves.
Okay. Okay.
But other than that, the jobs seem quite similar. Like the roles are similar. Like if you look at technology or engineering, it is quite similar. So mechanical engineer, software developer.
Hmm. Okay. And what are the kinds of perspectives you had as an adolescent in India? Like, what did you picture for your future? What were your ambitions, your goals, your dreams, and how is it related? I don't know. Even the expectations inside your family. I don't know. Tell us a little bit about it.
So I liked science and technology. I loved sports, and I wanted to do something which combines all of them together. My interests as a tracker, as a badminton player, as a technology enthusiast. So that is where I saw myself combining fields. But then, do I want to start up? Do I want to work? Do I want to, uh, I don't know, go for masters? Those kind of thoughts were continuing till recently, like I would say 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was a dilemma in itself. But overall, my family has always given me the flexibility that to do whatever I want, so like actually follow what I like, and that has been of great support, so
Yeah,
I
I can
can
imagine.
make decisions um, like freely, I would say, which isn't always the case.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
is there a big difference between uh, middle class or and the poorest families in India?
Yes.
Can you point out some of the differences or that kids growing up in a more scarce, financially scarce family, the the challenges they may have that I don't know how would your family insert in Indian society, but how are things different for those children? Do they have the opportunities to study? I imagine maybe a superior degree don't, but they don't. But how is it basically?
It is quite a bit of a gap. So I cannot tell you what the challenges are, obviously, firsthand for a poor family in India.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever is known, so basically the facilities aren't that well right now. So educate government is trying their best. So everyone is trying. So mentality isn't an issue, I think,
Okay.
but it's about the facilities and the opportunities. So, for example, the poorest man in India, like the poorest people in India, may not get uh, food 2 times a day. So it can be as grave as that. So if a person sleeps hungry, it is really difficult for him or her to actually think about learning or educating himself. Or
Yeah, yeah I can
yeah,
imagine. Uh, yeah, yeah, I think it's a bit of a challenge in every country. There are always cases like that in every country. Uh, but yeah, I suppose in India with all the population you have, you can I imagine it can be a challenge. But yeah, uh,
it is, and I would like to add that it is a challenge, and then there are multiple, like a lot of people trying to help and work uh, to improve the status, government is trying their best. So yeah, it's improving. So if you look at the trend over the years, it has definitely improved,
Hmm. That's
which
great.
is a good thing.
That's great. Maybe I will ask you if there's any favorite tradition or celebration you have about your country.
Okay, so yes, uh, Diwali is a good, it is one of the important festivals, at least in Maharashtra. So it goes back to a tale where a king called Sri Ram. So it's a whole interesting Ramayana is the whole tale, which is like Diwali is a celebration that Ram came back to Ayodhya, where he was the right ruler, and then it is a festival of lights. So um, before say 2005, it like so Indian calendar isn't based on a Gregorian calendar. So it was in the um, winter period,
Hmm.
and basically it is a festival of lights, and then people actually come together. There are some firecrackers, there are like food, different kinds of food items, and then there are some subfest, I would say, days in which the festival is broken down to some special occasions. So one is, for example, it worships the relation between a sister and a brother.
Hmm.
And there is a festival in which it is called Lakshmi Pujan, which is the inauguration of Diwali. So it is, Lakshmi is a goddess, and you worship her and start your festival, is how it literally translates. And then there is Padwa. Padwa means basically it is the second day in which you actually need to. mm, it is basically taking an oath for yourself about the good things you would do.
Okay.
So and then it is a period. So it isn't 4 days like proper Diwali is for 4 days, but it is a vacation and people are home. Like all my cousins, and we go to our grandparents. Used to, this year I didn't, but we
Hmm.
used to our grandparents. They still do, and then have fun, enjoy. Yeah.
It's like not only a union between the community in those days, but always an opportunity to unite the family and spend some time with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You talk about some worship of a goddess. It is, I suppose, it is related with a specific religion, or it's like multi-religion shared festival.
Oh, I think it is related with Hindu religion. I'm not good at that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. But and what are the like India, like we said before, it's a really big country, and you can have even climately something as remotely different from a rainforest to a desert,
Yeah.
from snow to beach side. So it's and culturally it happens the same. Different parts of the country are completely different. So you, having lived there and being in contact with it from the inside, and you probably watch, you have a national TV, I suppose. So you maybe you can learn a little bit more and be more exposed to the different cultures of the inside the country than we are from the outside. So would you like to tell us about some of the differences or some of the most curious differences that there exist between different regions of India?
In terms of cultural differences,
Yeah, maybe, or something you find curious to talk about.
so yeah, so if you actually study, like look into India, it is like I would compare it with Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So assume India to be Europe, and then every country has its own culture, tradition, food style, lifestyle, mm, independent governance system, independent education system. Similar pattern can be observed. So dressing sense is different.
Hmm.
uh, and then food habits are completely different because some regions have, for example, a beach, like they have a coastal region, and then fish is more common. But then if you go towards the north region where there are Himalayas and stuff, where the temperature is extremely low, their food habits have heat generating ingredients in them. And so that is regarding food. You can actually, like, I don't know if you as someone outside India can recognize it, but we can kind of guess the region based on, mm, even how they look, whether they are from
Yeah.
east of India or south of India or north of India or west of India.
Yeah, that's interesting. I more or less can do it with European people. Like normally, it's more or less notorious if someone is more of the northern part of Europe or the southest part,
Okay,
or maybe the eastern part. I don't know, but you can notice.
because
But
right now I think I can separate a Dutch from a non-Dutch, kind of, like, almost. But I cannot say, for example, he or she is Swedish or he or she is from Norway.
that's a
So that,
curious That's a curious thing I would like to ask you because at the Netherlands there is a great variety of people and I would say races maybe. Like the Dutch person you can see white people, you can see black people, you can see people that are like people from other parts in the world but are already Dutch. I've met a guy in the Netherlands that he is a son of Chinese people, but he is born in the Netherlands, so now he is Dutch, and these kinds of things. So since the Dutch is an encounter of people from different places on Earth, that people that live in the Netherlands. How is it in India? There are many foreigners there, or not?
uh, there aren't, like, for example, if you consider a town like Delft, when I stay here, it gives me a feeling of an international town. So there are people from all the parts of the world that are living. Maybe it is because of the university,
Yeah,
but I think that isn't very common in India. So there are people coming in from different regions, but it those are a handful in a particular area or maybe a city. In cities, there are people coming from various things because of globalization.
yeah,
So they have offices in the cities, and but then the people who really go to the rural areas actually get a taste of what Indian culture is. So, and then I know few people who actually came to visit India, and there is a couple from Germany. They are quite old, in their 60s, and they came to a small village near Pune, and, like, they didn't plan to go there, but they came to Pune, and while seeing the surrounding areas, they went there, and they loved it so much that they have started living there for, I don't know, last 6 7 years.
that's really curious.
So that is a pattern. Like, if you go to the villages, you are bound to get addicted to it. So I know, like, many instances. I know, like, I have heard multiple instances where this has happened.
Nice. That's nice to hear about. Uh, do you have any particular historic moment or achievement that Indians remember with the most pride? Like a great historic moment that your country has lived that you all like to remember?
Yeah, there is Independence Day. So we got independence from the British government. It is celebrated every year on 15th of August. And then there is Republic Day. which is celebrated on the 26th of January, which was the first time the constitution was published, declared, the Indian constitution.
And
So two days
how
are
far does it come from? Like, what were the years of those?
so the year of independence was 1947
Okay,
and the constitution was published on 1950.
okay, okay, interesting. Um, if I come to visit your country, for example, which do you think are the most important things for me to know before visiting India?
First of all, which region are you
Yeah, I can
visiting?
imagine it depends a lot in the region, right?
So yeah, like if you could be more specific, I can try to answer maybe.
I don't have any region in mind. Maybe you can
So
differentiate in the regions. Maybe I don't know. You maybe
overall, overall, I would say like if you want to visit India, go to the rural areas of India because there you would find that people are having something much more important than money. They actually love like they would treat you like a king even though they don't have the services available like a king. So they would shower you with love, and I think it is true with any part of India. It is just they are much uh, they are not connected to the technology as such, and that is why they have a human in them still alive. So I'm not saying that if you go like if you are too addicted to technology you don't have an human aspect, but I don't know. So go to the rural areas is one because the cities are nothing different. They are like every city is different. So for example, I love being in Delft more than Amsterdam, to be honest, because it's different. Here you have the weekly market and stuff. But coming back, so one is go to the rural areas is one. Mm. The second is have it the locals way. So I always do that when I'm traveling. So eat what they eat, try to stay at their place if possible, rather than a hotel or yeah, a hotel basically. Uh, Ask them about the places they are interested in, like around them. Spend a day with them. So, for example, that is extremely important. So, if you visit a rural area and actually you go to the farm with them and
mm-hmm.
spend some time with the farm animals, or you see milking of a cow, it's a different experience altogether. So that is one advice: spending time with the locals and actually living their life for a day.
And are the locals really receptive to that? Like foreigners to just come to them? Is their reaction? Like foreigner just comes, especially in the rural areas, because I can imagine in the cities they are accustomed to it because it's normal because of tourism and stuff. But in the rural
uh,
areas, how is the people's reaction to a
yeah,
foreigner
I think
visiting?
they would be surprised for first 20 minutes to first 2 hours, but after that, they won't bother.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So I am saying this based on some of the hot areas in which foreigners come a lot. So, for example, in Himalayan treks, so a lot of Europeans and Americans come to Himalayas, and there they do spend a time, go for a trek, see the places around, and then the local stores or the vendors there are so used to it that they don't like they don't feel something is different.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there anyone, any Indian person born in your country that you feel that people from outside India, from around the world, should know about because of his work, because of his personality? I don't know.
Dead or alive?
Uh, Maybe alive, it's because that I it just comes to my mind as soon as you say that, I remember Mahatma Gandhi because it's a great reference to all around the world. Maybe there
There
are
is a
more,
big controversy on that, but alive.
but what controversy is on that? Tell me, I don't know about it.
So there are some people, a huge class of people who agree with the principles of what Mahatma Gandhi preached, and there are some people like for everything there are two sides to the coin. The same is with his thought.
Yeah, but yeah, maybe you can say a dead people and a alive people. A dead people different from Mahatma Gandhi, maybe, and an alive people. Some of your Indian references maybe are that people should know about.
So alive people, I think the top of my mind, I think Ratan Tata is someone people should know. Again, there are controversies in that as well, but what I know, and there are two actually, I would say Baba Amte and Ratan Tata, but like let's say Ratan Tata.
But
Uh,
who are those people? For example, I don't know them. For
yeah,
example.
so Ratan Tata is the owner of Tata Group. So Tata is a huge group of uh, car automobiles. They started with multiple departments. So there is their steel and then automobiles, and then right now I think they own multiple shares of mm, multiple industries. So I don't know the scope of it, but I'm not suggesting Ratan Tata for the name for his industries, but basically, even though achieving so much, he has his feet on the ground. So he's reaching out to people during the current pandemic, and he's actually he's into social service, and he uh, basically he tries to help the people as much as he can.
Hmm.
So I would like, and even though he can like actually own or invest or be a rock star in the tech world, he is really down to earth and tries to help. And yeah.
Is there any project that you would stand out from the others that he does to help people?
uh there are multiple actually, but then so well, for example, Tata Nano was a car which he launched for the Indians. So typically the lower middle class of India. So he launched a four wheeler which cost 1 lakh rupees. So I think it comes down to uh, around 1200 euros.
Okay, yeah, that's really cheap.
Yeah, and then basically, even though it wasn't particularly making profit for his company, he did it because he wanted. Well, it is not the best example, but that is what is coming to my mind right
Okay,
now.
okay, that's a good example. Um, Now maybe moving a little bit more out of scope of Indian scope, maybe.
Yeah.
Which countries have you visited apart from India and maybe the Netherlands? Because we've talked about a little bit already.
Okay. Uh, so I have been to Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, uh, a solo trip to Bhutan, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and then just to catch a flight, Germany.
Okay. And what were your favorite
Oh, Dubai. Sorry.
in Dubai?
Dubai.
And what were your favorite adventures in all this traveling? Maybe it's some adventures you would like to point out.
So I'll talk about the recent outing to Sweden, Norway, Denmark,
You
which
you did that after since you are in the Netherlands or before that? Since you are in the Netherlands,
yes,
okay.
I think we spoke about it before I was going. So this
Oh yeah,
December,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so basically it was amazing. So I realized how people are living in extreme conditions. So basically, our intent was to go there and watch the Northern Lights. which unfortunately we couldn't, but maybe next. But the thing is, so we visited places Kiruna, Abisko, Narvik, and Narvik is in Norway, and Kiruna and Abisko are in Sweden. And then the people live extremely differently there. So one fine day, we were obviously staying with the locals, and then one fine day, I was like, the first day in Kiruna, it was like minus 26 degrees Celsius. And we asked the owner, like we were talking to the owner, that it's minus 26 degrees Celsius. Yeah, you are blessed with a perfect winter. It can go down to minus 35 degrees Celsius. And we were
Yeah.
like, oh, shit, this is crazy. And everything was snow. Like, uh, it is called as a white desert, and we could actually see why it is called a white desert. So everything is white. So that is one completely different trip that I have done.
Hmm.
Bhutan is wonderful. So I can actually keep on speaking about Bhutan, but that is a completely different than all the countries I have been to.
What's the biggest difference? Why is it so
Well,
special?
I think it has to do with the mindset and mindset of the people. So basically, they are happy. So they don't strive for money or fame or power. They strive for happy, like being happy. So they live a really simple lifestyle. They don't like strive for global something. They are really simple, secluded, but open kind of a country. And yeah, it's blissful to go there.
Is there something you think we should learn from them because of that difference in approaching life?
I think there are multiple things we could learn. First is yeah, their approach towards life. They really live simple, and we could try to uh, inculcate that in ourselves. So there are multiple occasions when we buy things we don't need, or we tend to do things which aren't required in terms of multiple parameters. But yeah, so
But do
that
you,
is one.
what do but do you think that our way of I'm saying our because I from what you said I'm thinking that in India is quite similar at least in some way
Yeah.
except for
So
the
right now
rural
you are like
areas.
Bhutan and non-Bhutan, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, go
So
ahead. Yeah.
our non-Bhutan way of thinking, like these more uh, work thing, we also think about non-work stuff like family, and we also have other priorities outside of work. But we have a big concern, especially in the more capitalist countries, about work and the ambition to have more money to be able to afford
Yeah.
a good. Comedy in our lives and to buy some products that we believe that make our life more enjoyable. Uh, do you think is that is wrong to have that ambition to achieve more, or is okay as long as we don't lose the capability of enjoying where we are now?
Yeah, I think it is the second one. So basically, having ambitions is not bad according to me, but ruining your present because of the anxiety or the excitement of those ambitions is what I think they do differently. They have some plans, like they would do farming for the next 5 years, whatever it is, but they actually live in the present moment.
Hmm.
That is one thing we could take in.
Yeah. One thing I believe that yeah, I also believe that it's good to have some goals or life experience that you would like to have in the future. I think that's nice to think about what you would like to
Yeah.
live, not to just being pushed by life circumstances and to go with the flow. I think it's nice to maybe, oh, I would like to do that and plan on how to achieve that. I think that's good. But yeah, really believe that one thing that some people used to say that is like to okay have a goal, but enjoy the process. Like
Exactly.
if you are not enjoying the process, maybe it's not an healthy way of you are not doing something you like. You are not living in an healthy way, and many times
I remember you mentioning this a lot of times, and I think you personally do it a lot. So
at
that
least I try to. I think it's nice.
yeah,
Of course, there may be a time or two in which you are a little bit more anxious, and you try to balance that and to understand what is causing that and to fix it. But yeah, I really believe so. I really believe so. Yeah. One thing I would like to talk about because once in Delta I watched like an astonishing TED talk of yours, which I really loved.
oh,
Uh,
TED like talk.
exactly, exactly. Not an
People
official TED
can
talk.
get the
Yeah.
wrong idea.
Yeah,
So
to explain to the people watching, like he was doing a course that was called Talk Like TED, I think.
yeah,
Yeah, and basically they were learning how to do a TED-like presentation, and so the course was about the topics and how they should approach the topics and things like that. And he talked about a life experience of his on his traveling, about his traveling, and in the end, they did this presentation so everyone could watch. He invited me, so I went, and it was a really nice TED talk, or TED like talk.
TED like talk.
Sorry. But yeah, tell us a little bit that because that life experience and the lesson you've learned from it, it's astonishing. I really loved it. Would you like to share with everyone watching? Because I think it's clearly worthwhile.
So yeah, again, like it is regarding my Bhutan experience, but I'll cut down to the essence of it.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, how to love or maybe serve someone without expecting something in return is a key element that uh, today's society doesn't practice a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if I do this, what would I gain out of it?
Yeah.
But then people showed me a completely different thing. So they showered me with love without expecting anything back. And these were the people who I didn't know. I was meeting for the first time. And if they can do it, why can't we for the people we know?
Yeah.
So that is something
Can
that
you
hit
tell
me.
us at least one of the stories you lived there?
Yeah, so one of the story can be about a lady. So basically the next morning I stayed at a homestay in Bhutan,
Mm-hmm.
and
With the
uh,
locals, right? You stayed.
yeah, with the locals. So I worked, I didn't they didn't actually let me work, but that was the whole deal which we had. So I'll help them in work and they'll help me to live,
Yeah.
and I spent the day with them in the farm and so on. And then they cooked some good food, we had some fun, etc., etc. But the next morning I was about to leave to go to a place and then go from it was Paro to Thimphu, the capital of Bhutan. So I was going to leave early, and then 5:30 a.m. this lady, 5:30 a.m., like she had no reason to wake up, and she cooked me lunch, and she was like, have this on your way,
Yeah.
and with the box as well. So I know for sure that, like, not 100%, but like 95% that I'm not going to meet her again.
Yeah.
And she just did that out of,
Kindness,
like,
pure kindness.
yeah, yeah, and that is something I'm grateful for. And I would say that we should at least try to do one thing uh, daily, preferably, or once in a week at least, that we do something without a higher interest in our mind.
Yeah, and I think one thing that really impacts people, it's like random kindness, like kindness that appears from nowhere. That has a really
Precise.
profound impact on people, I believe.
Yeah,
And that's what happened there, I think. You weren't expecting that, and to be given
exactly.
that gift, it's like wonderful.
I would like to share a simple experience.
Yeah?
So,
Go ahead.
in the supermarket, recently, uh, so a person had just bought something, a small pack, and it was single. Let's say it was biscuits. I don't remember what it was. and then he was so there is a hand scanner that you need scanner you need to actually do it, and there is a small queue which just checks the scanner, you pay and you go outside.
Okay.
There is a huge queue where they scan it for you and then you can take it, so it's like sliding on the
Mm-hmm.
scanner. Then this he didn't know that there is you need to have the scanner, and he was like he looked at the line, I was waiting there, I was after him, uh, and he looked at the line and he was like I could see that he's frustrated. Like he asked the lady, can I, well, they were speaking in Dutch, I don't know what the conversation exactly, but he was like trying to say that it is just €1, could you just do it? And then she said no. But then I was like, put it in my cart because I was after him and I have the scanner, you paid to me. And that made him so happy. So I but that it was such a simple act. Like I took 0.1% extra efforts and it made him happy for I don't know 15, at least 15 next minutes. It's
Yeah,
good.
it's good. Yeah, it's good to feel that way. And another great thing I've learned from your TED talk or TED like talk was to not be shy of meeting new people, especially when you are traveling the locals,
Yes.
because wonderful things can happen, like the story you just told us. And it's really good to engage with those people and to hear their stories and to tell your stories. That's
Yeah.
communication, that's sharing. That's a little bit of the message I'm also trying to share with this YouTube channel. And
Yes.
it's wonderful. And many times in our day to day lives, we are just in our routine and we don't escape that routine. We are with the people we know, doing our work, and then we go home. And then if we go out, we normally go with our group of friends. You
Or
mentioned,
earphones on. So that is something we see a lot.
yeah,
So
exactly, exactly.
headphones and they
Everyone's in the metro or the train or something, and it's like morning, like really serious, and don't
yeah.
talk with anyone. That really happens. But yeah, it was really inspiring to hear your stories and to just approach. You even said that to practice your TED-like talk, you just approach random
Oh
people
yeah,
in the
that was an
streets.
interesting exercise in itself.
Yeah, you can speak about it if you want.
So it was like the coach who was training us, she said that after you're done with what you have decided with what you're going to say, practice it with your friends, practice in front of the mirror, practice it with strangers. And then I felt like, yeah, this is interesting, this is an opportunity. uh, so I went there, and then like in the Delft city center, I went there and I was like, um, I waited for a while and then I saw a person sitting by himself. So I went there and I asked him, so this is what I'm going to present, and I want to actually try to some with someone I don't know.
Mhm.
And then he listened to me so in such a interested manner that I literally loved it. Like, yeah, that was a whole new exercise in itself. So yes.
Yeah, yeah. I think that
Talking to
before we.
strangers is always fun. Like, for example, both of us met, like we were strangers initially, but it's just one of us spoke. That is why.
Yeah, I think that first barrier, like it's a psychological barrier, but that first barrier, that's always a kind of awkwardness in, especially if you are approaching, like if you meet in normal situation, like if you are having classes and the person is right next to you,
Yeah.
or if you are in any kind of group arrangement and you know the people, get to know the people from that group, it seems not normal. But when, especially when you
True.
approach random people in the streets, there's always a bit of awkwardness in it. And but
Yeah.
if you just break that barrier, it's really, everything is just not, we are human beings.
True.
We love to communicate. We love to share. So it's I really felt like I've been in the Netherlands for 5 months in my academic exchange period, and it was great. It was a wonderful experience because I get to know a new country, new culture, but especially new people. I get to know you, Thomas, from last week, and a great group of friends, and it was wonderful. But when I came here, I came. Oh, it was wonderful. I loved it. It was so great to be there those 5 months. Like I came here with the feeling that I've been there for 5 months, but it seemed like I have lived like years of life because it was so intense that it really felt like it. Um, but then I was thinking about it and I realized, wait for a moment. What I've done in the Netherlands, I can perfectly do it in Portugal. I can meet
Exactly.
new people. I can do
Exactly.
things I've never done before. I
Yeah.
can go and do the things I'm feeling like into. So it's just a psychological shift in your head that it's easier to
And
do when you're away of your country, but you can do it in your
yes.
own country, and life is so much more interesting and fulfilling when you do that.
And it is just first 30 seconds that you need to act consciously, like it is the barrier that you are speaking about. Once you cross that, it is like a charm, like you have a
Yeah.
friend, a new person, you know.
Yeah, that's
So
true. And maybe before you go to speak with that person, psychologically you think about it, and and you think like, oh, it will not go well, and it will not
yeah,
be natural. But that's just you playing the wrong movie in your head because it's not like
yeah,
that.
it's like the internal fight that we always have. So should I
Yeah,
take a course, should I not take a course, should I buy this, should I not buy
yeah,
this, should I talk to this person or should I not talk to this person?
yeah. And I think that when you're referring to people, it's almost always it's worth it to break that barrier. And
Yeah,
the
and
more
the
time you,
worst
yeah,
case,
yeah, say.
the worst case scenario is that he or she wouldn't reciprocate. But if
Yeah.
you're okay with that, you can actually, the whole world is a experiment center for you.
I once watched a TED talk. That was an interesting one. I think it was you that sent me that TED talk. I'm not sure. That was a guy. This is another face of what you were like the worst case scenario. This was a guy that didn't deal well with did not used to deal well with rejection. So he
Oh
was
yeah,
always.
the hundred rejection experiment. Yeah, it's
Yeah, so he
amazing.
was always afraid of being rejected. So he launched himself in this challenge of the
Yeah, yeah,
100
yeah.
ways of being rejected. So he was, maybe you can explain better, but I think he was starting with really easy challenges like to approach someone and ask for $100 for that to that person,
Exactly. Yeah,
and the person
precisely.
and the
Yes.
person would say no because, okay, this stranger comes from nowhere and asking
Yeah,
for
and
a hundred
that
dollars.
correct. And then he increased in the level of rejection. So the first, like you mentioned, he asked for $100, and the person said no, and he was like, "Thank you. Yeah, that is stick." First rejection completed. The second time, I think he went, like he tried going approaching a lady at her house, and asking her whether he can. mm like, what do you say, treat her plants, so he
Sorry,
can,
eat
whether
her
he
plants.
can plants.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, so he can like cut the leaves and
Mm-hmm.
give them. So that is, and then she said, no, who are you? That, okay, that is rejection number two.
Yeah,
So there are 100. I think he has his own website on which one can find the list of rejections he had.
yeah. But what I was trying to say when I started to talk about him was like the worst case scenario, you get rejected by that person, which is also a good thing. So you can start to learn to deal with rejection, which can be a nice lesson as well. But
Yeah.
the worst, if you start to talk with one people, you probably won't, because I would say that the odds are in your favor. But if
Yeah,
even if you get rejected, if you do that with a second person or with a third person, you will almost likely have someone to have a really good chat with, and it's really rewarding to do that. Yeah.
definitely.
So maybe just we are almost in the end. We are with 54 minutes of video. Um, so I will ask you a final question, and then I will maybe give you some space for a final message if you want to share. But right now,
Okay.
I would like to ask you if there's Any big dream that you have that you would love to accomplish in the future?
Ha, the best for the last. Okay. Okay. So yeah, um, I would like to contribute to the society in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to be specific, I think it would be based on what I know. So there has to be a technology component to it. Another thing I would like to explore is Indian philosophy and what they are teaching actually. So whenever I read it, it's something that stays with me. So I don't like I haven't been able to comprehend whether it is out of interest or whether it is so simple, but I think it is out of interest, and I think that is something essential to the world itself. So, down the line, my big dream would be to actually make it more reachable to people, more available, and then other like a sub dream of that would be, or maybe a side dream, like another dream
Mm-hmm.
altogether is actually contribute to education, mainly in India.
Mm-hmm.
And like we discussed, it can be for the growth of the poor man in India.
Yeah. If I understood it well, you said you would like to make philosophy more reachable to people. That's right.
Yes.
And what? Just this
Well,
final question.
philosophy, I would say there are people who call themselves philosophers, and there are people who actually know philosophy and they don't need to call them philosophers.
Okay, so you would like maybe for everyone to may have their say, or people to be more open to share their philosophical perspectives, maybe?
No,
No, not that.
I'm saying that, well, yeah, everybody has a freedom of speech and they can say whatever they want. That is perfectly fine. But they should try to understand that, for example, different scriptures or maybe different books related to philosophy all converge to a singularity or a single point,
Mm-hmm.
respective of the path they take. So
Maybe
if
maybe you would like to write a book about it.
I don't know,
Yeah, just
writing
converging,
writing a
just
book
converging
writing
all
a
these
book
points.
has writing a book has always been on my to-do list. Like I remember, like I do that every 1st of January. So
Yeah.
I mean, what are the goals for the entire year, which like 70% of them don't happen. But yeah, that's a different story for a different day. But like I remember the first time I had, like I felt like writing a book was in 2017. So I have this diary in which I have all the New Year resolutions for the entire year that I have.
Nice.
And then in 2017, it was like I want to write a book, which I haven't till date, and I don't know why.
One day, maybe.
You could motivate me.
Yeah, I should. I should. I would love to hear what you have to say. Okay, now it's an opportunity to do so. Maybe a final message to the people watching. I don't know. Maybe inviting them to call to India, or share a message if you are feeling you should spread to the world, even if it's not related with India.
Yeah, so I think people should travel, not right now because
Yeah,
of the pandemic,
yeah,
but
yeah. After that.
after the pandemic, and yeah, once the whole protocol is done. But and then like actually talk to people and learn from them, gain their experience, what worked for them, what didn't work for them.
Hmm.
And as this entire show is for like actually being out there and talking to different people, I would say at least if you have listened to this episode, at least try speaking to one unknown person with no external, like just go there and experiment with someone, just go there, say hi, and you can ask them anything. Like it can be as simple as what did you how was your weekend. So a random stranger, they would be like, oh, why are you asking me that? But you can say that I'm actually trying to talk with strangers because I haven't done so or something. And they really appreciate, people do appreciate your honesty, and they feel like contributing. So it can turn out to be a extremely great conversation. And I would encourage all the listeners to try it once, and uh, without anything to gain from them. For example, uh, it is okay to reach out to a professor saying that I want to do something under you, or maybe reaching out to a company saying that I want a job. That I won't say is reaching out or talking
Yeah.
to people, but actually going there and just knowing them, or trying to like understanding them. So
Hmm.
that can be something people should try.
Yeah, seems not like a nice challenge to me. And if you need some inspiration maybe to do that, I will recommend another TED Talk maybe. I think it's called Big Talk, and it's a really curious one because sometimes when we are in the streets, we see all these people, but we don't realize how similar we are to one another. And everyone have their own lives, their own dreams and ambitions, the things they are happy for, and also the things they are sad for, and their fears. And in this big talk, TED talk, she shows a video that this girl produced, like approaching strangers in the streets and asking some really deep questions. And the answers are super crazy to listen, and you can really get to know a little bit of the person, and it's beautiful to listen to that moment of sharing. Yeah, because we all have some problems in our lives, we all have some dreams, we all have people we love, and to talk about it, especially in that different moment, being talking with a stranger that comes from nowhere. But we as humans have this tendency to support one another and to share these emotions. So it's a nice TED talk maybe that will give you some inspiration to approach this challenge successfully. No, I think this is it. I really enjoyed our conversation. It was really fun to do this. Thank you once more for going abroad with this. I really enjoyed having you here. I think it was a really fun chat that we had. We could go
It
on.
was amazing, and you are doing an excellent job. So
Thank you very much.
really appreciate your efforts. And the way you are, like, I had no idea what we are going to speak to about, and which made it a lot more interesting than having it scheduled. Or well, the time was scheduled, but other than that, the whole context was on the fly, which is
Exactly. I think it's much more spontaneous and it's much more real. So that's what I'm trying to share with all these people watching.
yeah, that, like like having a conversation in the cafe out of to a random stranger.
Exactly. Exactly. That's it. Okay. I think we'll be back next week with a new country. Stay tuned to find out a little bit more. I normally like to leave a challenge midweek for you to try to guess the new country. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Thank you for being there, and until further notice. Bye.